welcome to my channel. My name is Emmy from Emmy Evolving. If this is your first time joining me, thank you for finding me. If this is not your first time, thank you for coming back. So, guys, oh my God. I don't know why. There's just something going on with the energies, and it is amazing. It is amazing. Amazing. Okay. So, first and foremost, of course, I got to remind you guys every time I do have workshops coming up. If you would like to learn how to work your energy, gain your confidence in yourself and your life, go check out my workshops, k33academy.com/store. That's where you can find all of my workshops. That's my virtual academy where I teach. Hold up. People don't know what I teach. I teach aura spectra biogenesis. I'm saying if you want to learn about aura spectra biogenesis, which is a system that I created, it's a type of learning. But the system is called Kokoro 33. Go there, k33academy.com, and you can see all the good stuff. Okay. So, you guys, I got something super duper to share. Oh my God. It took me forever. Everything takes me forever these days. You already know how I am. Aura is in light. It has roots in Hebrew, which is light. And then spectra is the broad spectrum of light, like the full scale of light, and biogenesis. I can look it up. You can look it up. Actually, you won't find anything because that's what I've decided the clinical name for my system is aura spectra biogenesis. Anyways, I got something to share, you guys. Aside from the reading, I want to share this with you guys. Okay. I got lots of projects going on. Y'all don't even know. I'm saying. But, anyways, look. I finally got all of the goodies up. Yo, I got all of the goodies up for Ground the Clown, the fundraiser to help with my legal battle in Switzerland. I mean, yo, we got aprons. I'm getting my husband an apron. It's going to be Ground the Clown. So whenever he cooks. And then, I was also going to have, I had to tone down the petty a little bit because I was going to have doormats, bath mats, cat and dog placemats for the floor. Socks. You know what I mean? I had to tone the petty down and just, what I'm saying. So let me get the cards. Let me just put this. Okay. Let me put the real banner up. I asked what this reading was going to be about, and what I heard is you're finally ready to step into your rightful place. Tone it down. Grab a hold of yourself, girl. Talking to me, Kathy, not you. That's why I love you, Kathy. That's why I love you. You're always banging out the ideas. Woo. Okay. Let's get started. Let's get started. You're finally ready to step into your rightful place, right? So there is something that needs to happen. I'm wondering if it's already happened. I'm wondering if this is something that was the final resistance, right? Have you been resisting your path? Have you been resisting all the different ways in which your life is trying to grow you and expand your awareness of what your rightful place is? And we're going to find out. We're going to find out because, you know, I mean, yeah, it's one of those things. It's just one of those things. You got to make sure you got to make sure that what you're doing is continuing your growth, right? What you're doing is further expanding your awareness, further calibrating you to receive messages from soul, guidance, direct instruction. It's super important. You have very important things that you're here to accomplish, not just things that pertain to saving the world or saving other people, but things that pertain to your personal growth, to the ways in which you will step up to the challenge that your soul is presenting you, right? What is the challenge? I don't know. I'm not your soul. I don't know. Now let's find out. Let me just untie this. Okay. So that my tank top can just calm down, right? Just calm down a little, tank top. Okay. So here we go. Uh-huh. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Okay. So many of you are going through an awakening. This awakening, it's not that you're, you know, woke. We have to step away from that concept. This is about expanding your awareness of your capacity, expanding your awareness of the gravity of what you are here to do for, first and foremost, yourself. And then, secondly, for those around you. And then, third, for the collective whole. There's steps to this, okay? There are various steps that need to be considered, various levels. So you're reaching a level of awareness that's going to help you get to this space of really being able to go from, you know, trying to convince yourself to believe in yourself, to actually genuinely, truly believing that you can handle even the most difficult things that cross your path. And these difficult things that cross your path, you'll begin to see it as something that's really just inviting you to be able to rise to higher levels of function and understanding, right? So, as you go through that process, you're definitely going to experience some sense of instability. Okay. When you are being brought to higher levels of um, simple awareness of who you are and where you are within your journey, um, what ends up happening is you feel unsure, you feel uncertain. You'll begin to feel all of these different things that cause you to question a lot of what you've decided before, what you're deciding right now, cause you to question why. Those are not bad things. Questioning is not a bad thing. What's a bad thing? Sorry, I'm trying to get rid of that freaking glare because that's driving me nuts. Um, Questioning is not a bad thing. What's a bad thing is doubting yourself. No, questioning and self doubt are two different things. When you ask a question, you get the answer. Nothing wrong with that. Self doubt is when you ask a question, you get the answer, and then you continue to not accept the answer and ask further questions that give you the same answer, but you don't want to accept it. So then now you're like in some type of cycle of you don't know what. So they're not the same thing. This instability is going to lead you to a place of being able to face your shadows, being able to really take a good hard look at what it is you've been dealing with within yourself and around yourself. As you allow yourself to go through that, as you allow that process, you'll enter into a space of creativity, of active creation. The more you're able to allow yourself to, have permission to create circumstance, opportunities, all of those things, the more you'll find that you are letting go of your union with this limited belief. I think a lot of your struggles stems from your loyalty. What are you loyal to? Are you loyal to the things that I found that a lot of us are loyal to the things that hurt us. It's almost, and I don't know what the condition, I forget the name of the condition. It's almost like Stockholm Syndrome, but it's not as severe as that, right? Maybe like a low grade, very, very mild type of Stockholm Syndrome, where the people who treat you the worst, you have a tendency to be the most loyal to them, because if you can just prove yourself, prove your worth, maybe they'll accept you. Maybe what's necessary is that you accept yourself. You're finally ready to step into your rightful place. Your rightful place is not at someone's feet groveling for forgiveness because you exist. You're finally ready to step into your rightful place. Do you know where that rightful place is? Do you find yourself continuously having to beg, right? Ooh. Mhm. 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 Yep. Oftentimes, when we are loyal to the things that hurt us the most, we develop bitterness, resentment. Sometimes it's towards ourselves. Other times it's towards the person that we're trying so hard to get us to get to love us, right? I don't know. I'm kind of at a place where, if we don't hit it off right from the start, we don't hit it off right from the start. And I'm not going to put too much effort into it. Unless it unfolds naturally, I'm just not interested. I'm not. I'm just not interested. I'm not wanting and needing so much attention that I would compromise myself. I'm not, and I don't mean for that to come off as though I think I'm better than other people. I'm saying that's where I'm at. And the fact that I'm realizing that's where I'm at, it's like I almost feel this need to tell you that's not where I've been for most of my life. Most of my life, I've been in a space of maybe if I just try hard enough, right? Maybe if I put enough effort into trying to convince you that I can be of benefit to you. So you shouldn't, push me away right away. Like give me time to prove to you. Like, no, I'm just this. I'm not giving that much of me anymore. I must be loyal to myself first. Yes. That's where I'm at now. And I'm still not a greedy person. I'm still a very giving, very loving person, but no longer at my detriment. Like, that's important for me to no longer do that in a way that further depletes me. Because as you become prepared to step into your rightful place, if you don't have the energy to take that next step forward, you will never actually enter into your rightful place. Part of the process of being prepared for that sacred space is emptying you of all the toxicity. It's emptying you of all the connections that lead you back to the toxicity. It is the ritual of burning all the bridges that lead you to those toxic spaces, toxic connections, baptized in the flames. Oftentimes, as you become prepared to step into your rightful place, it will seem like and feel like everything is falling apart. Like this title really resonates with me right now. There's nothing actually wrong in my personal life, but it's like, I don't know, I'm feeling so many people around me, like outside of my immediate family. And it's this sense of like, it's like everything's falling apart. Everything's falling apart. And whenever things fall apart, I've come to understand it's not falling apart, it's being intentionally deconstructed by soul so that the appropriate pieces can be salvaged and be appropriately reconstructed. Is it falling apart? Or is it coming together? And I think that's where many people are at right now. You're being prepared to step into your rightful place. This process is going to continue until autumn, until the leaves start to fall. You're going to be going through this ripening process. And whatever this ripening process is, it's going to help you realize how much of an upside down ethos you've been immersed in. You've been in environments and having conversations with people who never had the capacity, willingness, or desire to understand you. It's kind of just sometimes we have to accept that. I've come to this place of peace that not everyone's going to like me, and it's okay. It's really okay. Not everyone has to like you, not everyone has to understand you. But you do have to put effort into liking yourself, into understanding the parts of you that you don't like, where it comes from, the root causations that have caused you to behave in the undesirable way that you have been, or thinking or treating yourself in that undesirable way. I mean, these are all parts of the process we're in, right? We have to remember that we carry within us all of this distortion, all of this trauma from all of our ancestors, you know? Um, oh, hi, patience. Yeah. I think many of us have been feeling confused and are needing some type of confirmation or some type of validation about what we're going through. That is just a process. Life is not actually falling apart. It's being intentionally deconstructed. And at the end, it will make sense. It's about finding the patience to be able and patience finding the patience to be able to go through the process without rushing it, without distorting it, without allowing yourself to become so embattled with yourself, right? Because we often fight ourselves so much. We fight ourselves so much and we don't even realize the ways in which we fight ourselves. It's very common. It's very, very common. You don't have to feel bad. You don't have to feel like you're messing up just because what you're experiencing a human experience, right? For a lot of people, we're very afraid of the unknown. That's naturally programmed into us. It's part of our survival. It's part of how we survived in the infancy of our species. And, you know, we're not there anymore. But unless you've been given a sacred, safe space to process the emotions, you will absolutely still be there. Did you know there's two types of intelligence that are predominant in your life? The first type is intellectual intelligence, the second type is emotional. Now, you first will develop the intellectual intelligence before you develop to the same degree your emotional intelligence. Why is that? Because even if you develop your emotional intelligence, unless you have the appropriate level of intellectual maturity, that emotional development will not be recognized. It cannot be properly implemented. So you will always develop your intellectual intelligence before your emotional intelligence. So, for many of us, part of this process of finally being ready to step into our rightful place is allowing ourselves to process the emotions that we have already addressed in an intellectual manner, right? For many of us, we think, well, I already did the work. Why does it still feel this way? Well, you did the intellectual work. It's not that you didn't do the work, it's that you did one component of a two-part process, right? It's like if you perm your hair, you put the first solution, which breaks down the bonds in your hair, and whatever shape, whatever form your hair has taken while the bonds are broken, you then put the neutralizer after a certain amount of time, and that will help to rebuild the bonds, and your hair will be stuck in that shape. So I remember in high school, you can perm hair into curls, or you can straighten it. You just put the stuff in your hair and you just keep brushing it and brushing it. I mean, I don't know how good that is for your hair, but that's what we did in high school. You just keep brushing it and brushing it and brushing it until that sets. Try and get it as straight as possible. And then you put the neutralizer. And my once curly hair became frizzy. It wasn't stick straight, I'll tell you that much. My hair used to be extremely coarse. It looked like, dare I say it? I used to have islander texture hair. It looked like flat iron pubes down to the backs of my knees. It was just too much. Yeah, I needed way more than what I bought. So, yeah, it didn't work. But that's what I'm saying. It's like if you don't have all the components that you need, I mean, everything you do is a learning process. Literally everything you do is a learning process. And part of what happens is you learn exactly what it is that you're going through. And as you become aware of what you're going through, then you begin to realize what this is doing to you. And if you step into that very negative perception of it, the whole experience is going to become negative. Now, this is not about lying to yourself that it's a positive experience if you're feeling negative about it. It's about recognizing, I feel some type of way about this. Why do I feel this type of way? What is this triggering inside me? It's a very powerful period right now. It feels like all of the components that are necessary to create the most powerful type of existence for you specifically is being placed in your hands. But if you can't be bothered to receive the instruction from soul, I mean, you could have a go at it. You're probably going to have to deconstruct and rebuild it quite a few times. I mean, I've tried to do that before, like IKEA furniture. I tried to build it without looking at the instructions. Didn't work out very well. Trying to do Lego, those darn Lego things. My kids used to love to get those Lego sets, and then they would ask me to build the stuff. And they would want me to just look at the box. Like, yo, I need to know what piece goes where. And, eventually it gets made, but the frustration comes from not knowing how to do something that you're doing for the first time. I mean, isn't it a little bit unrealistic to expect to know how to do something if you're doing it for the first time? Or if it's something that you don't even want to look at what you're doing because you're scared, like, what if I don't like it? What if you like it though? What if you recognize how amazing this is? What if you go through this and at first it's difficult? At first it's challenging, but as you go through it, you begin to realize, like, oh my gosh, This is literally what I was made for. Like, this is literally what I was made for. Wow. I just came to a profound realization. That's exactly the process I went through with this, like what I do for work at this point. As I went through a process of allowing myself to be publicly witnessed, I didn't know what I was doing, you know. I'm very socially awkward. I am. I'm very socially awkward. And it's kind of like this thing of I didn't know what I was doing. I was very, very full of anxiety every time I would come live. Like you could see the discomfort. And, I just had to do and figure it out. I wasn't trying to build a business. I wasn't trying to be a public figure. I was just following the instruction of soul. And as I began to do that, I've now reached a point I am in full understanding and agreement that this is what I was made for. So you have to go through it in order to gain the understanding. We as people, we have a tendency to want to understand before we experience. Some things you have to experience in order to gain the understanding. And life is one of those things. How do you describe a color to someone who's never been able to see? They've never had sight in their life. How would you describe the difference between cerulean blue and periwinkle? I mean, I don't know. Because I would use other colors to describe the differences. Cerulean is more, I would use other visual things to try and describe that. And the same thing applies to life. You don't know truly and fully until you live through it yourself. It's very easy to give advice to people regarding topics that you've never ever um, experienced because you read it in a book. Like, I had someone who was being hypercritical of the fact that my children were still awake at like 8 p.m. on a Friday night. Like, oh my God, your kids are not yet in bed? No, they don't have a bedtime. They self-regulate. We don't do bedtime. They self-regulate. You got to take care of your body. You got to listen to your body. And this person was like, I would have just thought that you'd, have them on a schedule. They're not puppies. They're humans, autonomous humans. All this coming from someone who doesn't even have any kids. Doesn't have any kids. I'm sorry. I used to be part of this group until I had kids, but having a dog or a cat or any other type of, animal baby, plant baby is not the same as having a human child. They're wildly and vastly different. You are listening to people who have never stepped in your shoes. You are allowing people who know nothing about you except what's on the surface to dictate to you how to see yourself. Part of this period is about undoing that. Undoing all of the programs, all of the things you've participated in that have caused you to believe that your rightful place is behind someone else. No. Your rightful place is not behind someone, in front of someone, above someone, beneath someone. Your rightful place is shoulder to shoulder with everyone, unified in our diversity. Really let that sink in. Okay. Let that sink in. This process, if you allow it to do what it's supposed to do, it's going to last till autumn. And then from autumn all the way until spring, you'll be going through the process to integrate all the things you've learned. So it might be a very viscerally felt experience. Okay. This is definitely going to be a process. There is no way for you to rush through this. You can try if you want. You can try to rush through it, but aren't you worth taking your time? Aren't you worth doing this properly the first time around? It's like you're going to build a car for yourself for the first time from the ground up. You're building the whole engine and everything from all the pieces, right? This is not a pre-made car and you're just upgrading things. No. You have an empty shell of a car and you need to find every single piece that's going to go in that car. Are you going to rush it? Or are you really going to take your time and put some love and effort into that and make that your baby? Make it so that the car purrs for you. You know what I'm saying? Or are you just going to rush through it just so you could be able to say like it's done, but it doesn't run? I mean, that's a perfect analogy for our spiritual process. Do you want a car that's aesthetically pleasing as well as mechanically sound and fast AF? Or do you want something that mechanically, internally, it's a jalopy? Externally, I mean, yeah, it looks good, but it doesn't run. Yeah, we need to step away from that. Okay. I think for far too long, you've allowed yourself to be tamed by other people's criticisms of you. You're being told to get wild. Find the wildness within you once again. Find the part of you that feels like a breath of fresh air. Find the part of you that makes you feel as though your entire soul is on fire with inspiration, with drive. I mean, there's so many beautiful things that can occur. And what's happening right now is those things are being hindered by your perception of how unworthy you are. Why do you think you're unworthy? Now, if we were talking about some really ugly things, you'd probably be super resonating with it. Like, oh, yeah, I know. Oh my gosh. But now we're talking about some really good stuff. Like you're worthy of some greatness. You're like, how many of you are feeling like, oh, this is probably not a reading for me? Hell yeah, it's a reading for you. You deserve that greatness. You deserve to experience that. You deserve to experience a version of your life that you've never experienced before. Why? Because you deserve it. Why not? Why not? Strength. You got to find your strength to keep it together, because what's happening is, for many of us, the weaver in reverse, it's almost like we are unraveling. Someone else is running their sword through the delicate things we're creating, these beautiful, delicate creations. I don't know, that imagery kind of makes me feel like You're trying to create an opportunity. You're trying to create something amazing for yourself. And someone in your life is just wah, 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 all in your ear about how you can't do it. They can't do it. You probably can't. They can't do it, and they want to convince you that you can't. How do they know you can't do it? Because they know you, they don't know you. How do I know this? Because if they knew you, they'd know that doing that to you would crush you, would create so much fear in you that it would paralyze you. So either they do know you and they're being wicked with you, right? Or they don't know you, at which point, why are they trying to instruct you on what to do? So take all of that out of the equation. Take all of that out of the equation. What do you want? What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to do for yourself, right? Take risk. You're afraid of taking that risk. You know, you're worth the investment. You are worth the investment. Ooh. Mm. Excuse me. This is fascinating. Okay, so we have the observer, right? If you look, the strings of fate are still in your hands. You are the puppet master. You are in control. You need to begin observing the ways in which you control the outcome of your life, because you do. Long gone are the days where you can continue to believe the excuse that you have no say, you have no control over what happens to you. There will be people who you'll come across who will try and dominate your space, try and dictate what happens. If you agree with that, if you give passive permission to that, then they'll be able to. But if you don't, then they can't. They probably give you a hard time. Who cares? Who cares? Okay, so they give you a hard time. I mean, they give you a hard time anyways, even when you're in compliance. So let them keep doing what they do. You know who they are. At least now you can stop pretending that they're not who they actually are. Okay. So you're in control. You have to observe that. Part of doing that is being a busy bee. You have to do the soul work. Bees create these honeycombs. They create these shapes, and I mean, it doesn't just magically fill up with honey. This is an analogy for your life. You can build all the structure you want, but unless you fill each structure, each component with the sweetness of life, you will not have a sweet life. You will not have honey. It's a honeycomb because it's full of honey. I mean, if you want to fill each of the components with toxicity, you're going to have a toxic comb, not a honeycomb, right? Nature. It's in your nature to be aware. You had to have been programmed or convinced to lose your awareness. It is in your nature to be aware. As children, as infants, much of what we did was just stare at things. One of the ways in which you can tell if a child is elevated in their intelligence is minimal blinking. Yeah. They don't blink as much because they're so busy observing. Yep. So, if we look at this card, look at those eyes. Look at the pine cone. That pineal. That awareness. That spiritual development. That's part of your nature. That's how you were created. This is not something that someone can take away from you. They can convince you to no longer believe it, no longer accept it, but they can't actually take it away from you. It's yours. It's yours. The Explorer in reverse. Emmy, if it's in my nature to be aware, how come I'm not aware? I can't tap into my gifts. Have you explored yourself lately? Have you explored yourself? Have you allowed yourself to see who you've become? Might not be a bad thing. Oftentimes, the people who are the most afraid that they've become a bad person, oftentimes are actually one of the greatest people you'll ever come across. People who are consistently afraid that they'll, look greedy or they'll be seen as though they're mean, they tend to be the nicest, most generous people, right? Because we live a very upside down reality. What you're being prepared for is to be placed right side up. Unwillingness to move forward, being very, very stuck in that space. There's a space that exists in all of us that we can sometimes be uncomfortable in. It's like a waiting room, right? This waiting room where we just sit and wait. You get so comfortable there that it becomes this thing of like, well, I mean, it's safe here, but is it safe? Or is it just so monotonous that you've come to understand that nothing's ever going to happen there? And therefore, you know, I don't know. You're just going to stay there. You can't. You can't. Sacred journey. You're on this journey that's sacred to you. Your sacred journey does not have to be sacred to anyone else. They don't have to be aware of the sacred nature of your journey. And if you are waiting to label your journey as sacred, to see it as sacred, only after someone else has identified it as sacred, I'm not sure that that's going to work out well for what you're being prepared to step into. What I found is for those who have a high calling in life, and I don't mean that as though you're more special than other people. I mean, you have been tasked to do things that are much more complex, right? To help others in a more complex manner, more deeper way. We have a tendency to learn differently than others. Our journey becomes something where the way we learn is through challenge. The way we learn is when life knocks us down. We end up figuring out a way to get back up. It develops our climbing ability. It develops our ability to balance. It develops our spatial reasoning, all of those wonderful things. So if you have 2 children and one, you always tell them, don't do that. Don't do that. Oh my God, you're going to get hurt. Oh no. Oh no. They're going to learn to be very afraid of their environment. And then you have another child where, you kind of just are like, you sure you want to do that? I mean, have you thought about what might happen if you do that? Okay, well, be careful. They have a tendency to be much braver. And because of that bravery, they don't have the same types of limits and they can develop in a much more profound manner. Like my husband and I were polar opposites for pretty much everything, right? He's over here doing BMX tricks and like, I don't know. One time he was riding his BMX outside in front of the house. We lived in a like a cul-de-sac. And then I hear my kids all screaming and pointing at their father. And I turn around and I look, and this man is legit standing on the handlebar and I believe the seat as the bike is rolling. I was like, oh my God, don't show my kids that. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, no training wheels, no nothing. That's what he was doing. Up and down the cul-de-sac like a freaking weirdo. I was like, why would you show them that? But at the same time, it's like, why shouldn't he? He knows how to do it. He knows how to do it safely. Why shouldn't my children learn to be brave with their bodies like their father is? Just because I was conditioned to be very, very, very mindful and very fear-based in my lack of ability to balance, right? I mean, do you want those limits? Because if you don't want them, you can toss them out. Right, Teresa? I'm serious. He does skateboard tricks. I'm like, I will break my ankles. Okay. So, this is interesting. Very, very interesting. Part of your process is going to involve connection, right? A mirroring. We also had right? We said you were going to go through a process of developing your awareness. And in that awareness that's developing, you're going to become destabilized and then you're going to face a mirror. This is a mirrored soul. So you're either going to be mirrored in your environment, like your environment is going to show you your spaces of toxicity. Either you will witness people being toxic with each other, or they will be toxic towards you in the ways in which you are also toxic. You'll be able to see with elevated clarity what parts of you need to be addressed so that you don't feel ashamed of any part of you. Right? I was chatting with a girlfriend before I went live, and I was telling her the story of my name, and and she's like, I love that so much, and I love your confidence. Yes, you are the most amazing. And I was like, well, I mean, it was originally sarcasm. I was being sarcastic. I didn't really think I was amazing. And I kind of just stuck, but so sometimes the things that you see for yourself as kind of just you're being sarcastic, you're joking around, you don't really believe it. it's actually your truth oozing out of you without your consent. And that's part of the way you kind of mitigate some of that discomfort in that truth coming out of you. You turn it into a joke. I don't know, you do whatever you do with it, right? You say, oh, just kidding. I think a lot of your truth is starting to come out of you. These are truths that make you feel uncomfortable because, oh, let's face it, society doesn't give us permission to know that we're amazing. Yeah. When was the last time you were able to say that you're amazing and not have people make you feel like you need to be concerned that, you know, they might see you as though you're full of yourself. They might take that statement of you're amazing as a declaration that you think you're so much better than everyone. When was the last time you felt comfortable saying something like that? Like, I'm amazing. Do you feel comfortable? I mean, say it right now. Put it in the comments. I'm amazing. Not me, you. I'm amazing. I mean, do you have the courage to admit it? Do you have the courage to admit how amazing you are? Or is it something where, I don't know, people might think that I'm like, I don't know, snooty or something. I think for many of us, we still have that fear. There's 60 people here. Only 2 people had the courage to write that I'm amazing. Now 3. You guys. 99% at 9:54. That's 9999. Ooh, this truth right here. Woo! Woo! When it's just me and my daughter, I'm more confident in saying that. Ooh. Ooh. The truth of it, right? The truth of it, the honesty of it. Ooh. To be able to tap into that depth of self-awareness and honesty within that awareness. It's okay. If you don't feel like you can say it yet, it's okay. But I tell you, you are amazing. You are amazing. When you stand in front of this, mirrored soul, worlds within worlds will be projected outside of you. All of these different spheres of consciousness that exist within you, these different aspects of yourself, they will begin to emanate from you. They will begin to be the very thing that is your gift to the world, right? It doesn't have to be a cosmic connection. It just has to be someone who can um, mirror you in a very unrestricted manner. It doesn't have to be any of those concepts that you think it might be. It just has to be you standing in front of someone who can mirror back to you the very things that you need to see about yourself, whether it's the beauty of who you are or the things that need a little bit more love from you, right? Like, I've become so comfortable live streaming with you guys because you're such a reflection of some of the most beautiful parts of me. You guys are so supportive. You guys empower me in so many different ways. You embolden me as I go through very difficult processes so publicly, right? I mean, how could I be comfortable anywhere else? Like, I'm genuinely the depth of my introversion. People just have this misconstrued notion of me. I am not that social in real life. I'm not. I have a girlfriend who's been trying to get me to see her for a year. I'm working on it. I'm working on the courage to be face to face. And she's not going to do anything to me, but it's just like, girl, it's a lot. I have to work up to that. Yeah. One of my oldest friends, and I adore her. I had been talking to her for a while, and we're like super close, and she's such a safe space for me. And we lived in two completely different states. And one day she's like, "Hey, I'm driving through Vegas on the way home. You gonna come out and see me?" I was like, "Well, and she goes, "Girl, you are coming out to see me. I'm not taking no for an answer. I will be at this hotel. I will see you at like noon." And I was like, "How do I say no?" And I couldn't say no. I wanted to. If I had the courage to say no, I would have said no. But because I didn't have the courage, I ended up having to go meet her. And I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad I did. Because, I mean, she's such a beautiful reflection of the softest parts of me. Whenever I need a reminder of how to be soft again, I go to her. I go to her. But one of the first things she said to me, and I was just like, "What does that mean?" I love you, girl. If you're watching this, I still love you. I still don't know what it means. It's been years. But she sat down in front of me and she's like, "Huh, you look just like you do online." I was like, "What? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?" She goes, "You just look how you do in all your pictures." What does that mean? That made me, yeah. So after that, I just was weird. I was like, I don't know what that means. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's just a thing. It's been years. It's stuck with me, but I have to remind myself it's just a thing. She didn't mean anything malicious by it at all. And that's a time when people often use filters. And I was a conspiracy theorist. I was like, I will not submit to facial recognition apps. So nothing was filtered. I'm saying that's probably what kept me very like mentally healthy these past couple years. No filters. So one time I used a filter, I ended up crying on a fucking live stream. Like, I messed up right now, you guys. And that was recent. Don't use filters. So communication. This communication between self and soul is very, very important during this period. This period is where you're going to really see like the meat and bones of who you are. Don't be scared of what you see. You're being prepared to step into a place that you were created to step into. This is a space that, ooh, I'm saying, hold on. Final step. You're finally ready to step into your rightful place. I'm nervous now. Let's see how this plays out. Okay. You've been hypercritical of yourself. You've torn yourself down so many times. You've shredded your identity, your dignity so many times. It's okay. You have glue and tape and sparkly glitter stuff. Piece yourself back together. Add a little bit, just a little bit of sparkle. It will distract from the places where you've glued yourself. Get it together. You have to get it together. You have to stop avoiding the human experience. Do you know why spirituality is controlled opposition for your actual ascension mechanics? Because it perpetuates this stereotype that as long as you identify as human, you are not evolved, you are not aware, you are not ascended, and you are not on my level. You have to have an anchor point or you lose yourself. Allow your human identity to be your anchor point. This is your home while you are in this life. Your identity is your home. Get comfortable. You're not going to start a new chapter until this chapter is successfully completed. You don't get to just be like, nah, I'm done with this process. I don't want to do it. Right? It's like you've rowed out to the middle of the lake, huge lake, and you start to have some difficulty with rowing in the middle of the lake because guess what? Your muscles are not conditioned to row that far. You didn't take into consideration that you needed to row back, right? So you're going to give up in the middle of the lake. No one's there with you. There's no motor. There's no nothing. You just have paddles. As long as you refuse to finish the second part of a 2-part process, you will be stuck in the middle of that lake. No one is coming. So take however long of a break you need, but eventually, if you want to get back on shore, you're going to have to start rowing. You're going to have to put the effort. It's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. Okay. All right. So the perception of what this metamorphosis is intended to do is upside down. So remember, the ethos is upside down. A lot of the things that we are being taught, that we are being programmed by, all these different subcultures, different movements, right? We're being programmed by these things. They are social engineering us, right? Yeah, it's not helping you. The way you're seeing yourself, the way you're seeing your life right now, for many of us, it's not helping you. So if it's not helping you, um, then it needs to be changed. You can't just be like, oh, well, okay. No, it needs to be changed. You have to look into how to change it. You have to look into what you can do. What are the different options? This is how we mess ourselves up by being so quick to try and avoid something. Recently, our newer vehicle, it's not brand new, but it's a newer vehicle. It began to act funny when we accelerate, like the gears were slipping. It was doing hard shifting, like just weird stuff. And we both knew the tranny is about to die. And so we stopped driving it. And, to avoid having to pay between $6,000 and $8,000 to have the transmission switched out or repaired, whatever was going to have to happen. We were going to trade the car in. We were going to trade the car in. And then at the last minute, we were already at the dealership. At the last minute, I was like, you know what? Can we just keep it? Can we just fix it? Can we at least find out what it will cost to fix it? Like I don't want to let go of the car. And so the car sat for quite a few weeks. Maybe 2 months. I don't know. It sat. It just sat. We didn't do anything with it. We didn't look anywhere. We didn't ask anyone. And then my son's bougie car, the window wouldn't roll down. And I was like, well, it's still under warranty. You need to bring it back. You need to bring it back and you need to get that fixed because we picked the warranty where you don't have any copay. We'll get that fixed. And because of that, my husband started talking to the dealership where we got our car from, same dealership. And it turns out it was still under warranty. We're like, I don't know, 20,000 miles before the warranty expires. And we're like, oh, shit, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Yo, I almost made a huge catastrophic mistake just to avoid an issue that ended up costing us, I think, like $500 with a copay. I was gonna take on another car note that was maybe like, I don't know, based on my calculations, it would have been like a $1,200 car note every month. I was just like, I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if I want to do that. I feel like we're really going to mess ourselves up by taking on a different car. You apply that to the way you've treated so many different situations in your life, and you'll see how you dug yourself deeper into struggle. But here's the silver lining. Whenever you do that, it gives you the opportunity to learn something even more profound in a very nuanced manner. It actually serves you. Only if you allow it to, though. Only if you can allow yourself to recognize that you are being further prepared to take your rightful place. Like, life is so beautiful in that way. It is so beautiful in that way where if you only trust, what it is that you need to do, what your soul is instructing you, encouraging you, intuitively guiding you to do, you will minimize the struggle, you will eliminate the suffering, minimize the struggle, and enter into a space of profound awareness of how capable you are, how powerful you are, what you can handle, the gravity of what you can carry on your shoulders. But you're not a pack mule. That's important to also know. You're not a pack mule. It's not your job to carry everything and everyone. Okay? So, warrior spirit, you're fighting yourself. You went from fighting other people to fighting yourself, because when you fight yourself, you can do it quietly. You can fight yourself silently and no one would ever know. And therefore, no one can ever call you out on it. I'm calling you out on it right now. A true warrior does not fight themselves in that way. A true warrior doesn't just show up to any battle, they are selective. A true warrior lives by the code of Bushido. Abundance sigil in reverse. A lot of things are going to be drained away first, okay? A lot of things are going to be drained away. We're going to go through all these different cycles that will help us to remember exactly how magical we are. It will help us to remember what type of powers we can tap into from our ancestors, right? It will help us to realize the depth of duality that we're existing in so that we can begin to modify that so we can become more comfortable with ourselves, so we can become a totality, right? Aliens are not getting involved. Galactic assistance in reverse. You're not going to be able to involve anyone else in this. You're going to have to do all of this introspection yourself on your own terms at your own time. You get to decide that. Okay. You get to decide that. If you want to drag it out, you can. I wouldn't advise that unless, you benefit from extending lessons. Um, I also wouldn't advise rushing through it because that's how you guarantee that you don't actually learn what you're supposed to learn. I would go with the flow of what your soul is encouraging you to focus on. Absolutely. I would go with the flow of it. Let's pull a final card. I feel for many of us, these realizations are going to reactivate dormant pathways. These dormant pathways will give you access to Akashic memories, past life memories, maybe not the whole thing, but snippets, and enough snippets that you can piece together the most important parts of what you need to learn. Okay. So I messed up, so I'm pulling 2 cards. I tried to cheat. I don't know how it's cheating, but I felt like I tried to cheat. I tried to control what the card was going to be. I don't even know what the card was, but I tried to control it. So I pulled both. That'll teach me. Okay. Card number 22, the lion and the deer. When you enter the garden of the heart, you become fragrant like the rose. When you fly towards heaven, you become graceful like the angel. If you get burned like oil, you become brilliant. When you become thin like hair in yearning, your joy leads the way. You'll be the kingdom and the king. You'll be paradise and the guardian angel. You'll be infidelity and you'll be faith. You'll be the lion and you'll be the deer. You're going to enter into a space of totality. Okay. That totality is very, very important. Now, for some of us, it's going to take a little bit longer than others to enter into a totality. That's okay. What's important is you take the proper steps to prepare yourself to become a whole person. You are the lion and the deer. You're bold, fierce, and vibrant, and you are silent, sweet, and gentle. If I should come to you in arrogance, you roar at me until my falsehood quakes in fear. So terrified, it gives up the game, and love's conquest happens yet again. If I should come to you in surrendered adoration, open to whatever you may wish, you are so gentle with me. Like a deer, you offer me nothing to fear or resist, so that I too become sweet and gentle, longing to submit to your tender ministrations. So then I do not fear my own errors, for even if I stumble into arrogance, I shall be made wiser by your magnificent roar and become humble. But even if I become weak, I shall draw um, tenderness in you. Whatever is needed to keep me true, true to love, is what you give me. For you are the holy lion, proud and mighty, and the sweet deer, gentle as the mildest breezes of spring. So you are this totality, and whatever you need to do is what you need to do. You need to honor your process. You have to have no shame in who you are and where you are right now. The concept of perfection, as society defines it, is erroneous and fictitious. Who set the parameters for perfection? You tell me who set the parameters for perfection, and then tell me what traumas they've experienced in their lives. And I will tell you exactly which one of their traumas has caused them to identify perfection in whatever way they've identified it. You have enough traumas of your own. You have enough traumas of your own, and you don't need to abide by the trauma-based perception of someone else. Okay? Final card for real. Card number 37. Sacred Soul Sister. It's pretty. When you are conscious, a cloud of sadness surrounds you. When you are beyond consciousness, the moon rests in your arms. When you are conscious, the beloved moves out of your reach. When you are beyond consciousness, the ecstasy of love moves your way. When you are conscious, you are depressed like fall. When you are beyond consciousness, the winter cold feels like spring. All your wavering is due to your longing to be stable. Look for instability until you become stable. I love you. I am your other self. I am with you always, your partner on this soul journey. I am the you that you do not see. I am the you that speaks through intuition and instinct. I whisper and sing and shout my crazed truth telling to you through your dreams, through your body. I am the you that is wise, that trusts in life, that knows. I am the you that sees reality rather than appearance. I am the you that knows how to be happy and free. And I'm wondering, is this that mirrored soul, right? Is this someone who you can see the greatness in them as they stand before you? And there's no distortion in what you're seeing. What's happening is you're failing to realize they are the perfect mirror for you to see how great you are as well. There is a valid point of view that we travel this pathway. There's a valid point of view that we travel this path of our life journey alone. Our deepest descents into the psyche happen alone. We meet death alone and come into the world alone. And yet there's a vaster perspective that we are never alone, that it would be impossible to really be alone. We are connected to all of life, and there's no such thing as being alone in reality, only in limited and temporary perception. As if such community were not enough, there is a partner, an ally who journeys with you from birth to death and beyond, again and again. You have a sacred sister, a sister of your soul. She weaves the stories of truth through dreams and insights that come upon you as if from nowhere. Perhaps they drop into your mind or seem to erupt from within you, but that is her talking to you, demanding or reassuring, depending on what the occasion best calls for at that moment. Her truths may seem overly dramatic, so you may discount them as workings of an overactive imagination. Or perhaps her truth tales are so subtle you dismiss them as meaningless, fleeting fancy. The wise ones know, however, that the truths of the sacred soul sister are powerful, relevant, and worthy of time and attention. They know her oftentimes strange and startling offerings hold the keys to unlock entire worlds, to open up new realities, and to transform the nature of our existence from the deepest and most esoteric spiritual levels to the most palpable, practical daily realities of our living bodies in the physical world. Your sacred soul sister is your partner in consciousness. Make no mistake, she is you. She's just a part of you so great you cannot always see her from your conscious mind. It is sort of like the eye of the dog trying to see its whole self, which is a bit tricky, for as it moves to see its rear, so the rear is moved along too. So rather than through direct perception, the sacred soul sister is met through reflection, meeting yourself in someone else, meeting the parts of you that you crave to get to know as a living expression within someone else's life. Like, wow. Wow. She can be received in those moments of rest where great ideas are born. She's a genius, you see, vastly creative and inspired. Her worlds are those we access in sleep and meditation, or absorbing engagement in activity where the mind can relax and drop into realities far more vast than those of daily life and be replenished. To tap into her wisdom, to distill a teaching from the fragmented memory of a dream or a subtle feeling experienced in meditation, requires that you walk with her gait and not the fast paced, forward moving canter of your consciousness and intellectual mind. Her gait is meandering and apparently unstudied, yet she is in deep concentration to feel for truth of movement, to allow for what is emerging to express itself through her. And she is listening rather than demanding to know, to force, to speak, and to direct. To receive her genius and benefit most fully from it requires a willingness to surrender logic and open up to inspiration to become empty, to let the mind soften and become receptive, open, and permeable. She delivers questions that leads to answers, but not according to demands issued by an insecure and fearful mind. She offers what is genuinely needed and answers the deepest questions of the heart. She is trustworthy, this sister. She cannot betray truth. Therefore, she can be relied upon as a faithful way shower for the heart. So, to commune with her, wise as that impulse is, requires that you learn the ways of her world and the strange symbolic language she speaks. So, for many of us, we don't even really know what our soul is telling us. We have not taken the time to decipher the codex. We each have our own codex. You have a unique language that only you and your soul speaks. You want someone else to interpret this language. They don't even know what the language is. For some of you, your soul speaks to you through numbers. For others, it speaks through song lyrics. Yet for others, it speaks through animals. It speaks through cloud patterns. It speaks through strangers stopping you on the street, trying to have conversation with you. She will never tell you what you already know. Why be so inefficient? No, she prefers to educate, elucidate, intrigue, and beguile as you are drawn into far more beautiful, powerful, and helpful truths. So, in her world and in her language, you must suspend your need to immediately understand. Let yourself absorb the imagery, the feelings, and the possibilities, to dwell, ponder, and be permeated by the wisdom. The appearance of a horse may signify your own spiritual being, and the appearance of you may signify a false sense of identity and not the real you at all. You may see desert landscapes and moonlit nights in your dreams. When so much inner growth is happening, you will soon bloom like the springtime. You may dream of charging up hills with great energy when in your physical world you can barely muster enough strength to get out of bed in the morning. What does this all mean? This apparent contrary world upside down, nothing is as it seems symbolism. The meaning is a communication, and the communication is received in repose, in reflection, in quietness, and in rest. And you must trust. Trust her and trust yourself. When something needs to be known, so it shall be. This is necessary, so much less than what we expect. Your lacking of knowing is not ignorance. Your unknowingness is your bowing to life with trust. Ooh. Wow. Let me read that again. Your lack of knowing is not ignorance. Your unknowingness is your bowing to life with trust. I mean, full submission to the will of soul requires you not knowing the outcome. That's one of the most challenging lessons that I contend with on a day to day. The frustration that I feel knowing how capable I am of seeing precognitive visions, how easily I can correct someone else's physiological condition, psychological condition, but I can't do it for me. I can't read cards for myself. I can't see into my future. Why? Why? Because I'm learning to trust soul. When people come to me and tell me information about myself, I can determine rather quickly if it's applicable or not. I can see very, very quickly, with full clarity, if someone is accurate in what they are sharing with me. But it's very, very rare for me to be able to see on demand what I want to see about my future. The only things I'm ever allowed to see are the same scenes, and that's to keep me on track. The same scenes, so I understand. In my struggle to submit to the will of soul in this moment, I am beginning to veer from the path that takes me to the scene that I was created to live through. You're trusting your soul. You'll either learn to trust it or you'll be forced to. I think learning to trust your soul is the better option. When you're forced to do something by your soul, it usually happens in a very catastrophic manner. No matter what, you will get to where you are destined to be. With or without your consent or participation, you will end up where your soul has chosen for you to be, exactly when it's planned for you to be there. I hope you choose submission to the will of your soul. Submit never to anyone else. Submit never to anyone else. To soul, you better make sure your forehead kisses that floor. It's in the last few inches, in the last couple millimeters before your head touches the floor, that you will be the most challenged. If you have ever tried to stretch, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's not at the beginning of the stretch. It's not halfway through your full range of motion. It's at the very end of that process that you begin to challenge yourself to submit. Never to anyone else, only to your own soul. Question everything and everyone except your soul. It's okay for you to blindly trust yourself once you develop a connection with yourself. So long as other people's words continue to reverberate within your cranial space, you will not have the truth and the clarity you seek from soul. So this period of emptying you out, what's being emptied out is not your identity, it's not your value, it's not your dignity. It is the words of others that still reverberate within your cabeza. You need to get that out. These words that cause you to feel insecure, the words that cause you to believe the lie that you are not enough, that you are not lovable, that you are insufferable, intolerable, all of these really ugly things to think and feel about yourself. Yeah, no, the days of that are almost done. You're finally ready to step into your rightful place, a place where you can love yourself, you can appreciate yourself, you can naturally see your value and know that however much you think you're worth, it's nowhere near your true value. But in time, you'll begin to understand that it's not necessarily for you to know. It's simply for you to live and allow others to witness and commingle with you as is appropriate for what your soul has decided. I think it's time to go. I have no idea what we've just talked about this whole time. Literally, my mind has just gone completely blank. Hmm. Definitely have some things to think about. I definitely have some things to think about. I might have to rewatch this. Wondering if it's been a different aspect of myself, a different component of my own soul. Speaking this entire time. And now the human aspect of me is like, what were we talking about? Oh, ADHD is a mofo. Who knows? Who knows? No, I don't channel other beings. Never. I don't like that. I don't like to channel other beings. I don't even channel Michael. He's my personal guide and guardian. I wouldn't say guide because I never listened to him. I don't. It's the truth. I almost never listen to him. I'm always arguing with him. That's our relationship dynamic, Michaela. What? They all know. They all already know this. All we do is okay, I argue. And you are like, you guys, thank you so much for sharing this space with me. I just want to remind everyone really quick. I did finally get the listings up for our Ground the Clown fundraiser. Clearly, this is going to be a protracted legal issue with my stalker because I don't know. He seems to think that I'm just playing hard to get or something. I mean, I only spent a couple $1,000s for lawyers, but he seems to think that I still want him to continue emailing me how much he loves me. And then threatening to kill me if I don't reciprocate that. I just gotta laugh at life at this point. Shit's not funny, but like I'm trying to make it funny in my head. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. So because it's just clown type behavior, the fundraiser is called Ground the Clown. Yeah, we're trying to get him locked in his own country. He's threatening everybody. So, yeah, he shouldn't be allowed to travel. When you start threatening multiple people in multiple countries, your ass needs to sit at home while you wait to go to jail. Yep. So, guys, it's not a civil case that I've initiated, it's a criminal one. It's a criminal case because of improper use of telecommunication devices. He's been trying to geolocate me, and there's been several attempts to hack into my devices. Wonder who that is. There's been several attempts to phish information from my devices. So, yeah. Let's get that situated because I'm over it. I've been over it. I would like to be able to focus on growing our community, doing all of the different programs and being able to share with you guys like in-person events that you guys can come to. Like, come on, you know, I've become comfortable with you guys. So, I don't know. You guys are not going to be weird. No, I think I've become really comfortable with quite a few of you, and it won't be something weird seeing you in person. Michael goes, "What are you saying? I am being honest with my community." What? What? I'm not no freaking celebrity. Like, hey, meet and greet. No. It's like, what are you saying? I'm saying I feel like I wouldn't be scared of most of you, but some of you I don't know very well yet. So comment more, interact with me more so I could get a sense of like, okay, you might be safe. It might be okay to meet you. You know what I'm saying? At an event. Not like, but at an event, right? The breads. Oh my God. The breads, we changed everything to vegan recipes, grain-free, vegan, gluten-free, what? Egg-free. Ooh, I'm saying. Hey, Lorene, I feel very safe with. Do you want to tell them? I'm not even ashamed. Do you want to tell them? I've started to feel very safe with you. Ooh, girl. You can tell them if you want. You don't have to. But you can if you want. I won't stop you. You know what I'm saying? You're becoming my like security blanket at this point. For certain types of events, I'm saying. What? I'm saying it's a lot easier to tell, like a stranger. Okay, let me stop. It's not even weekly. It's like 3 times a week. 3 times a week. For the past, like, I wanna say, what, 2, 3 weeks? I gotta stop with that. I gotta stop with that. Maybe, I can't help it, though. I can't help it. It doesn't bother you, right? I probably should have asked you that first before I made it a point to, like, have you be part of that every single time. Okay, I gotta go, guys. This is too much. This is too much. Okay, please give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe. Turn on that notification bell. Join me when I'm live. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Bye, everybody.